Okay, and this is the first video that we're going to do on the IB elasticity part of the microeconomic course. And the idea about elasticity, and essentially the idea about economics in general, but particularly in this case, is that we're measuring the effect of a change in one thing and how much that affects something else. We're measuring the change in one variable compared to or caused by the change in another variable. So it's change versus change, okay? So please do keep that in mind. Now, the law of demand tells us in very general terms that as price goes up, quantity demanded goes down and vice versa. And the idea about elasticity, and particularly price elasticity of demand, it tells us exactly how much quantity demanded changes when price changes. Now, that's the way you need to look at this. Okay, we're trying to get to a measure of how much quantity demanded changes following a change in price. Now, what we're going to do is look at the different types of elasticities, right? So there are actually a number of different types of elasticities, and we're going to choose or look at or study 3 of them in the IB course. There's price elasticity of demand, shortened to PED. Income elasticity of demand. In economics, income is referred to by the letter Y. So instead of IED, it's YED. And we've got price elasticity of supply, which is PES. But for the moment, what we're going to do is we're going to look at price elasticity of demand. Right? So what is it? Well, it's always very important to know what you're talking about before you speak about something. So price elasticity of demand. It measures the percentage change in quantity demanded for a good caused by a 1% change in the price of that good, right? So it's percentage change in quantity demanded caused by a percentage change in price. Now, essentially what the formula does, which we will have a look at in a second, is that it averages it out. So even if prices change by more than 1%, the formula will average it out to say, okay, if price had only changed by 1%, we are saying that quantity demanded will change by X amount, okay? So it tells you what percent that quantity demanded will change following a price change, okay? So again, just constantly thinking this percentage change compared to percentage change. Right, so let's have a look at the formula. Well, this is the formula here, okay? It is the percentage change in quantity demanded of a good divided by the percentage change in the price of that good. That's the formula for PED. Now, there's this convention in economics that we refer to things with change in as the Greek letter delta. It's this triangle here and it's pronounced delta, okay? So what we can do is shorten that formula to the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. All right, so that's the whole formula for PED. That's what we're calculating. And again, you may be asking it this question, yeah, but like, what is it? And what I'll ask you to do is kind of hold on to that question for a second, and let's just go through the mechanics first of calculating the answer to a PED, finding the PED. Okay, that's what we're trying to do right now. So it says calculate the PED for each of the following. Well, the first one is the price of Big Macs falls by 2%. It goes down. It's less than it was. And the quantity demanded rises by 5%. So that good obeys the law of demand because a price fall led to a quantity demanded rise. Okay, well, the first question we have to ask ourselves is, how do we do the formula? Well, it's the percentage change in quantity demanded. So it says, and the quantity demanded rises by 5%. So that went up by 5%. That's plus 5%. And the price of Big Macs falls by 2%. So what was the change in the price of Big Macs in terms of percent? Well, the percentage change in price was 2. But this is the thing I want you to keep in mind. It is 2 and absolutely fine, but it's minus 2. It went down. And this is going to be important in the theoretical understanding, your idea of the concept, your understanding of the concept, but we'll kind of drop this convention later on. So what's 5 divided by minus 2? Well, I would hope you would understand that that is minus 2.5%. And look, some people aren't very confident with their mathematical ability. So in these cases, always get your calculator out. Always, always, always get your calculator out to calculate these things. Okay, so that is a PED of minus 2.5. Now, I did leave the percentage in there, but your answer is not in terms of percent. I just want to kind of get you to keep that in mind. Now, your answer will not have a percentage symbol afterwards. It will not. But I just want you to realize there's something to do with percentages here. For the rest of the questions in this, I will drop that convention. Okay, so what I'd ask you to do now is to pause this video and to see, or rewind it a little bit. Rewind, my God, I'm showing my age. Go back a little bit and say, look at the formula and say, can I answer these 5 questions? So, excuse me, if you pause it now, try and answer the questions and then press play when you think you have answers to the 5 of them. Okay, I hope you have had a chance to do those questions, and now what I'm going to do is look at answer each of them step by step. So we're trying to calculate the price elasticity of demand. Okay, I will say the definition again. It measures the percentage change in quantity demanded following a 1% change in price. It measures the percentage change in the quantity demanded for a good following a 1% change in price. So the price of Mars bars rises, which is a chocolate bar in case you don't have that in your country, rises by 4%, and the quantity demanded of Mars bars falls by 12%. Right, well, the first thing is, what's the formula? That's the formula. It is the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. Okay, so what was the percentage change in quantity demanded? The quantity demanded of Mars bars falls by 12%. So what is that? Minus 12%. Minus 12. It went downwards. And the price of Mars bars rose by 4%. So it's minus 12% divided by 4%, which equals minus 3. Again, we drop the convention now, but just keep in mind there's something to do with percentage changes, so please do keep that in mind. I hope that one made sense to you. Excuse me. The price of petrol or gasoline or gas or whatever you want to call it for wherever you're from rises by 3%, and the quantity demanded of petrol falls by 1%. So what is the formula? Percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. Okay, well, what was the percentage change in quantity demanded? The quantity demanded of petrol falls by 1%, so that should be a minus 1, and it is. And the price of petrol rises by 3%, so that's a plus 3, and it is. So therefore the answer is minus 3.333 recurring. Absolutely no problem. Okay, calculate the PED for each of the following. The price of cigarettes falls by 4%, and the quantity demanded of cigarettes rises by 2%. Here's the formula. Okay, so what was the quantity change? Well, it rose by 2%, so that's plus 2. And the price of cigarettes fell by 4%, and that's minus 4. So our PED is minus 0.5. Absolutely perfect. Okay, no problem there, I would hope. The price of plane tickets falls by 3%, and the quantity demanded of plane tickets rises by 15. Okay, so what we're saying here now is the percentage change in quantity demanded was 15%, and the percentage change in tickets, in the price of tickets, falls, so that's minus 3. So it's 15 divided by minus 3, which equals minus 5. And the last question in this series of questions, the price of TVs rises by 6%, and the quantity demanded of TVs falls by 6%. So what we have now is percentage change in quantity demanded is minus 6%, and the percentage change in price is plus 6% to give us a PED of minus 1. Now, bang. What did we notice about the sign of all of our answers? So therefore, what does a minus sign mean? Every single one of our answers was a minus. And what does a minus sign mean? Well, you have to think about this. As we see from the answers, all of our signs were minus. It is this minus sign that tells us that these goods are normal goods and obey the law of demand. These goods have a positive income effect, and as price rises, you get poorer in real terms and as such can afford to buy less, and that means that quantity demanded will fall. So that means that as price rises, quantity demanded falls. All right. As price falls, you get richer in real terms, and as such, you buy more normal goods. So as price falls, quantity demanded rises. Now, this is the important part. This is because for normal goods, as price rises, which is a plus, quantity demanded falls, which is a minus. And as price falls, which is a minus, quantity demanded rises, which is a plus. That means that a plus divided by a minus, if price falls, quantity demanded will rise. That's a plus divided by a minus. That's a negative answer. If price rises, quantity demanded will fall. That's a negative divided by a positive. And that's a minus as well. I'm just trying to make sure I've got keeping the terms compatible with the examples that I'm giving. So mathematically, a plus divided by a minus is always a minus, and likewise a minus divided by a plus, again, is always a minus, okay? And as such, normal goods always yield a minus answer, okay? Now, looking to try to interpret these answers, our first answer, I believe, was -3. So what does this mean? Well, what's the definition of PED? It measures, it records, it is literally saying what is the change in, okay? So it measures what percent quantity demanded has changed following an averaged out 1% change in price. So if we have a PED of -3, well, the first thing is it's a minus, so it's a normal good and therefore obeys the law of demand. So now we ignore that. And all that's told us is that it obeys the law of demand. Now we ignore it. Okay, we forget about it. So now we're dealing with just the 3. Okay, and this means that if price changes by 1%, quantity demanded will change by 3% in the opposite direction. If price rises by 1%, quantity demanded will fall by 3%. If price falls by 3%, quantity demanded will rise. Sorry, if price falls by 1%, quantity demanded will rise by 3%. That's what that means. Now, I did say change and in the opposite direction. In the IB, I would give the example, if price rises by 1%, quantity demanded will fall by 3%, or conversely, if price falls by 1%, quantity demanded will rise by 3%. But what if price changes by 2%? And then we use this formula here. The percentage change in price multiplied by PED equals the percentage change in quantity demanded. Okay, so what we have is 2 times 3 equals 6%. So if price rises by 2%, quantity demanded will fall by 6%. If price falls by 2%, quantity demanded will rise by 6%. That's what we're saying here. Now, we're going to have to relax that when we get later on, but I don't want to confuse you now. Just for the moment, keep this in mind. And remember, PED is very, very accurate with small percentage changes in price. As the percentage change in price increases, it becomes less accurate, okay, as a predictor. Now, for answer 2, we had -0.333. The minus, all that means is that it is a normal good and as such obeys the law of demand. Now we ignore it. What the answer of 0.333 means, that if price changes by 1%, quantity demanded will change by 0.333% in the opposite direction. If price rises by 1%, quantity demanded will fall by 0.333. And again, but what if price changes by 2? Well, we're using this formula, which is the percentage change in price multiplied by the PED equals the percentage change in quantity. So what we're saying, it's 2 multiplied by 0.333 equals 0.666. What if price changes by 5? Well, it's 5 by the PED, which is 1.665%. Okay, that's all. I hope this is starting to make sense to you. Okay, so the third answer was -0.5. What does the minus sign mean? It means it's a normal good and as such obeys the law of demand. If price goes up, quantity demanded falls. If price falls, quantity demanded rises. That's all it tells us. That's all it tells us. Now we ignore it. Okay, this means that if price rises by 1%, quantity demanded will fall by 0.5%. This means that if price falls by 1%, quantity demanded will rise by 0.5%. That's what that means. So 2%. Okay, well, we use the same formula that we were using. Percentage change in price multiplied by PED equals percentage change in quantity demanded. So it's 2 by 0.5, which is 1%. What if price changes by 10%? Well, it's 10 by 0.5, which is 5%. And again, in the opposite direction to the change in price. That's what we're saying. An answer for question 4 was -5. If price changes by 1%, quantity demanded will change by 5% in the opposite direction. If price rises by 1%, quantity demanded will fall by 5%. If price falls by 1%, quantity demanded will rise by 1%. That's what we're saying. Well, a 3% change, then we can extrapolate that and say, okay, well, use the formula again. If for every 1% change in price, quantity demanded changed by 5%, so therefore for 3%, quantity demanded must change by 15%. What about if it changes by 5%? Well, then it's going to be 5 by 5, which is a 25% change in quantity demanded. That's all it's saying. Okay, so I hope you're starting to see what these things mean. And an answer of -1. This means that if price increases by 1%, quantity demanded will fall by 1%. But conversely, if price falls by 1%, quantity demanded will rise by 1%. How do we know it obeys the law of demand? Because of the minus sign. The minus sign just means it is a normal good and as such obeys the law of demand. Well, you see, again, just if price changes by 3%, all we're going to do is use this formula and say it's 3 times 1, which is a 3% change. If price changes by 5%, it's 5 times 1, which is a 5% change. Okay, so that is what the formula means. Now let's go back to the definition. It measures the percentage change in quantity demanded. This is what PED measures, the percentage change in quantity demanded following a 1% change in price. So our answer, therefore, when we calculate PED, whether we get 3.5, 5, whatever, that is the percentage change in quantity demanded following a 1% change in price. It's averaged out to a 1% change in price. So the question is, what PED is asking is, if price changes by 1%, what will be the percentage change in quantity demanded? And the minus sign, which I'm about to come back to now, means that it obeys the law of demand. It is a normal good and as such obeys the law of demand. So with that minus sign, we need to be aware. Right now in PED, essentially you can ignore the minus sign. Once you see it, you say, obeys the law of demand, done, it's gone. It doesn't tell us anything else. So it should not, and most goods obey the law of demand. There are a few that don't, but it's not in the IB course, so we don't need to worry about it. But all it tells us is that it's a normal good. Normal in every aspect, colloquially saying the term normal, and also in economic sense, which has a positive income effect. As you get richer, you buy more, and as you get poorer, you buy less. But when we come to YED, which don't forget Y in economics stands for income, it massively affects. It really does tell you a lot more than just it's a normal good or not. Okay, it does tell you that, but it's very, very important. We can't just ignore it, okay, as we have been doing here. So I really hope that this video has shone a light in terms of what PED actually is. It measures the percentage change in quantity demanded following a 1% change in price. And finally, why are we using percentages? Well, we're using percentages so we can compare the responsiveness of quantity demanded for different goods across a price change. So if I was to say, to use the first example, something like a Big Mac that's pretty much all around the world, right? If that changed by $5, that would cause a massive, the price of Big Macs increased by $5, that would cause a big change in the quantity demanded. If the price of a car changed by $5, I don't think that would cause any change in the quantity demanded. But then you could say, oh, $5 is nothing, or is $5 a big change? Well, the only way that we can compare the changes, the responsiveness of quantity demanded to a change in price for cars and Big Macs and every other good in existence is if we use percentages, because then we're comparing like with like, and that's why PED measures percentage changes instead of absolute changes in terms of dollars.